Hello everyone, we are about to go out to do a photo shoot for a brand that we recently started working with, and we thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to talk about what we like and what we don't like about our van.
And what we would do different if we had to build it all over again.
Special guest? Whoa!
We're Katie and Joe. We self-converted our 2022 Ford Transit Clifford into our home on wheels. It took us a lot longer than we expected. We had to learn to be carpenters, electricians, plumbers, interior designers, and just about every trade you can think of in order to finish the build. There were a lot of laughs and a lot of tears.
No!
But once complete, we set out on an adventure to visit all 63 U.S. national parks.
We spent the last 6 months living in our van that we self-converted, driving 25,000 miles from Colorado to Alaska and back.
So we have thoughts.
In this video, we're going to bounce around between the things that we like and the things that we dislike about our van build. We're going to start on the outside and work our way in. The very first thing that we like are these Pathfinder lights. We have 4 of them around the van, 2 on each side and then 2 in the back. We can trigger them from the driver's seat and then in the bed. This was one of those things that we didn't really plan on having on the van build, and it was one of those last minute decisions, and we were so happy that we did it because they've been really helpful. When we're backing into spots at night or if we hear some noises outside, we can hit those lights and the entire thing lights up, and we'll show a photo of it now. They are 100% worth it. You're like, I think they're worth it. Yeah. Worth it.
Let's talk about the roof. All right, so kicking off things we dislike. We opted not to physically attach a ladder to the van because we had concerns about people getting on the roof, people messing around with an external ladder. But this expensive ladder that we bought, the little attachments that are supposed to keep the van from getting scratched fall off constantly. And then I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it also dents, it's sheet metal. It dents the sheet metal of the van when we climb up. And Joey is very unpleased about that. You should see his face behind the camera. He looks so angry.
This is it. Why put screws that are obviously just gonna puncture the rubber?
Yeah, so it just falls off.
It just falls off. Like, there's a better way of doing that.
Yeah, so we have to constantly shove that back in, make sure we have it in order to get up top.
This is the highest Katie's ever been.
That's true. I have not been on the rooftop deck. Joey, let's talk about it.
We had grand plans at the rooftop deck. We were gonna do yoga up here and do all that van life stuff. We're gonna drink bottles of wine. We're gonna just have nice picnics. In reality, we never did any of that. The biggest deterrent of that was
mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. It seems like we were constantly just being surrounded by mosquitoes. No matter where we were on our trip, there were mosquitoes and bugs.
Yeah, so it was not anything that seemed like a pleasant idea to climb up here and be all van lifey. So it was quite a big investment and we never used it.
Yeah.
The only caveat to that is what?
It's nice when we have to get up here to do maintenance on the roof. Clean the solar panels, all of that. Makes it much easier. In the grand scheme of things, probably could have made the deck much smaller and had another 1 or 2 solar panels and really got the power of the sun.
Yeah, so if we opted to do it again, there's a chance we wouldn't do a deck at all and just have a lot more solar, because we found out on the road that solar sustained us when we weren't driving our long days. It really did play a vital role in our electronic system. So having more would have only been a benefit, and instead we have a 5x5 foot deck that never gets used.
Not to poo-poo everything on the roof, the solar panels are very beneficial. When we were in Alaska and there was not a lot of sunshine, we really noticed how important they are to just kind of maintain us when we weren't driving. We also thought our DC to DC charging, so like when we drove the car, our house batteries gain energy. We thought that was gonna be more efficient than it actually was. So without these solar panels, we would have been in a lot of trouble.
The next thing I want to talk about is our internet. So this guy right here is the antenna. This isn't a like or a dislike. It functioned perfectly for us the entire time we were on the road. But the reason it's a gray area is because it was really expensive, and it was one of the few things available on the market when we did do our van conversion. Now, 6 months on, there are a lot more things in the market. T-Mobile came out with a mobile version of essentially this at a fraction of the cost. So in hindsight, if we were to do it again, we may not do this particular model, but like I said, it worked perfect. So it's a like, and it's not necessarily a dislike, it's just there's more on the market now, so we may consider something different if we were to do it again. Another
item on the pro list is this brush bar. It's the only brush bar that was available, and it's still available, that allows us to maintain the sensors that come from the factory, so we still get to use cruise control and things like that. In addition to that, it gave us a good place to mount these Prowlr lights, which were fantastic for those dark drives. You lay down. You lay down in your bed. You lay down in your bed. When we spec'd out our Ford Transit to be built, we elected to have the Adventure Prep package, where it comes with these two massive rear windows. A thing that we kind of like is that we could always peek through them when we're in bed, so we can see if there's anything going on in the back. A thing that we don't really like is if we had to do it again, we probably wouldn't have got these because they don't open and there's no screen. We would have probably elected to have no windows and to allow us to install our own with the screen, just to get a little more airflow. Same could be said about the window and the sliding door. We much would have rather had a window that had an opening that we could have installed ourselves. Why are you not in your bed?
Woo montage.
Woo montage, woo montage.
I'm gonna play that, what's that? Sarah McLachlan song.
For only 19 cents a day, you can help.
Like and subscribe so that we can get Woo a bed. She has a bed.
She's got multiple beds.
All right, let's talk about everything inside the van. We're gonna kick off with something we absolutely love, these cushions. I made them. Getting custom cushions would have been really expensive, and while making this in materials was also kind of expensive, to have something that fits our custom bench perfectly has worked out very well. And there's a zipper, so if we wanted to, we could take this cover off and wash it. They've just been really practical, and I'm quite proud of my accomplishment, so I want to show it off. While I'm sitting here, another thing that is an absolute love on our list is our Arctic Tern window. This window opens in a way that would block rain, and while we didn't have a lot of rain, it's nice to be able to keep a window open and not get super wet inside. It also has a bug screen and a blackout curtain. Another thing that we love are the signs that we bought off Etsy. It's our version of Live, Laugh, Love. It makes it feel like a house, and I will never not talk about it because I love them so much.
Another ding from the Adventure Prep package is the swivel for the seat. It was nice because it came from the factory, but unfortunately you have to open this door to swivel the seat, which is really obnoxious if it's raining, snowing, or there's just a lot of bugs and you don't want the opportunity for them to get in. So, gotta get in here, pull that forward. Where's it at?
So if the door wasn't open, it would have hit that part of the door and prevented it from swiveling.
Yeah, so no matter if you bring this all the way up or all the way back, there's no fix. You have to open the door.
So we love the swivel. We swiveled it all the time for sitting. We just wouldn't have taken it from the factory because that is a pain in the butt.
Yep.
Adding to the laundry list of things we love and things that I was responsible for, we really like our headliner shelf. It has become, as you can see, a practical storage space. This is the reality of van life. It's not always pretty. So this is usually what it looks like, but it's been able to hold essentials that we need access to more often. And then we padded the underneath, and I have hit my head, and fortunately there's no concussion because there's padding. So I think this investment was absolutely worth it. Having that extra storage it makes a huge difference that we didn't necessarily expect. One other perk to the headliner shelf is it gave us a place to hang a blackout curtain across those front seats. When we were in Alaska, it was 24 hours of sunlight, which meant it was bright, and while we have window covers, they aren't perfect, so being able to hang a blackout curtain across this made it that much more valuable to us.
Another thing that we really like about our van is the bench that we built out. It gives us plenty of storage while also giving us a nice place to sit. Unfortunately for Katie, she's not as tall as me, and she doesn't sit very comfortable here, but I fit flat-footed and have no issue.
Got little legs.
Little legs.
If we did it again, we would probably lower the bench just to be a bit more comfortable. It's not uncomfortable by any means because I'll usually put something to prop my feet up. But the sacrifice we made to have good storage there, I wouldn't necessarily change it. But, you know, it's one of those gray areas.
He'll sacrifice himself!
Let's talk about the kitchen. We love the design that we went with. It has so much storage. And in our minds, when we were initially moving into the van, is the stackable containers that we got at IKEA would be perfect. We'd put all of our utensils in one, pots in the other, miscellaneous in one, stack them up, good to go. The reality of it is we would have to take all the bins out of the cabinets in order to get something that's in the bottom bin. If we were to do it again, I think we would install mostly drawers in the kitchen just for ease.
Follow me to my throne. We've talked about this toilet, the Laveo dry flush, many times on this channel. This is our space toilet.
Toilet sits there. It's secured by a big bungee cord. Ready to go when you're ready.
Many times. This is by far the best thing that we bought for this van. It's fantastic in every way, and it's saved us so many times because unfortunately, Katie is lactose intolerant and loves ice cream. Okay, I am lactose intolerant and love ice cream, milk, and cheese, and all those fun things. So having a toilet that is easy to use, there's no pee jug, there's no poo maggots, there's none of that. Best thing ever. Literally the best thing ever. Now that we're in the bathroom, let's talk about it. The shower was one of the larger projects that we had to tackle, and it was also one of the more expensive projects to tackle. We were afraid that we were going to mess up, and anytime we would take a shower, water would go everywhere and we'd flood everything and it'd blow up the van. We were very afraid. Now that we've been on the road for 6 months, we never used it. We never took a shower in the van. We know it's waterproof, like we've tested it multiple times, but we never used it for its purpose. We probably, if we had to do this again, wouldn't put a shower here, but we would probably use the shower basin as like a collect-all for water. When we went camping in Katmai, we didn't have the van, obviously. We had a tent, and it rained on us the entire time, and when we came back to the van, everything was wet, and the tent basically lived on this bar, dripping down for almost a week and a half. So without it, we don't know where we would have put that wet tent.
I want it known that we did shower.
Oh yeah, we did shower. We have a membership to Planet Fitness, and there is a Planet Fitness basically everywhere that we went. We never spent, I think, the longest that we went was the Alaska Highway, which was like 4 days without taking a shower. And that was it. We had a shower everywhere. Canada, Alaska, everywhere in the US that we went, Planet Fitness. One thing that no one tells you about RFP, and no matter how much research you did, is that it smells when it gets hot. We didn't know that until we were in Death Valley and it was 115 degrees outside, and this gave out one of the most noxious, plasticky smells that you could get. It was to the point where it was giving us headaches and we had to turn on the fans and the AC to get the smell out. The more you know.
A last minute design decision that Joey made was to get a piece of metal and use it as the backsplash in the kitchen. And what we ended up doing is every time we went to a national park or anywhere fun, we would go into the gift shop or the visitor center and pick up a magnet. So we've been collecting them from everywhere we've gone. And it's just a really fun reminder when we're cooking or laying in bed, getting to see all of the incredible places we've been. And I'm so thankful he made the suggestion because it's one of my favorite elements in the van. Another item in the light column that encompasses basically the entire interior of the van is the amount of storage. We had Andrew from Rex Overland build us these custom upper cabinets, which have so much room. We were able to fit our life for 6 months in the van in all of this. So we've had room for everything we need. And here we have our electrical cabinet. In here we have our electrical cabinet, our books. Underneath we have a place to put our cables and sort of stuff you don't want everywhere else. Under here, kitchen items, our camera equipment, under the bed, everything your heart desires. Up there, Joey's gonna point to it, all of our toiletries have gone up there. Hey, We really prioritized being able to bring as much stuff as possible, which you'll see in another video ended up being a downfall. But it was nice to have practical space to have the things that we needed while living on the road. Another design pro, we're putting lights in the bump out. Whoop, there it is. Being able to run those at night instead of the overhead lights was really nice. Made it for cozy evenings in bed. Another item on my brilliant design list is this little bungee shelf. We were just messing around in the workshop one day and I was like, okay, I have time to kill. I'm gonna make something fun. This has been so helpful. We have a place to put our phones. We have cable, like we have plugs here so we could charge them overnight. I put my glasses there at night. It's just been a really last minute idea, but it's been so helpful.
If we were to build a van again, we would definitely add a mosquito net to the main entrance to the door. While we try to be as quick as possible getting in and out of the van, bugs happen. And having a mosquito net would allow us to have a little more airflow sitting inside without worrying about bugs.
We made a big financial investment getting our air conditioner, the Dometic RTX 2000. One, we love that, so pro. The second pro is the location we put it. We put it right above our bed, which allowed us to sleep comfortably, even in Death Valley when it, like Joey said, was like 120 degrees. Being able to crank that all night, blow down on us, we're really pleased with where we ended up putting that. We debated potentially putting it towards the front where we would be working during the days, but we're very, very happy that we put it back here.
The thing that we absolutely hate, it's not even like a dislike, it's a hate, is this fridge. A lot of people recommended this fridge and I don't understand why. You open it up. First off, these, and there's no way to make that stop. If you put weight on them, they actually come out, making it even worse. The airflow, terrible. This thing, I don't understand why fridges are like 1 to 6. Give me a temperature. Tell me I'm setting it at 40 degrees. Because we've come back many times and everything in here was either frozen or hot to touch. H-O-T-T-T-O-C-H. So like, it's just not a great refrigerator. And when you spent $1,500 on the refrigerator, you would expect a lot more than this. We would have definitely rather have just done a chest refrigerator, like I don't know what it's from.
The drawers, like the
yeah,
pull-out
like the
one?
normal like pull-out drawer chest system. More than that, I think it's easier to get like a normal systematic airflow through it all than something like this in a van.
Yeah, this fridge has been our biggest regret, and how expensive it was is like such a headache.
Such a headache.
And even in the manual, the numbers don't correlate to a temperature. And then we like called them. We've been on their service phone number more often than not, trying to figure out how to make it function.
Yeah.
And most recently, it got too cold and exploded a bunch of things in there. So we've been in a constant struggle with that. Absolutely do not recommend and would not suggest getting that. Pick something else.
Sorry, Isotherm.
Let's talk about the bed. We put in a lot of effort to make these bump out boxes to maximize the space so that we could sleep east-west in the van. And while we fit, after being on the road, we discovered that we sleep often with our hands above our head or our feet pointed like a ballerina. And there's not quite enough room to be really comfortable in this bed. If we were to do it again, we would probably design it so that we could sleep north-south and have a full-size mattress in here, queen size, so we could be a bit more comfortable and have more restful sleep.
That, or potentially look at flare spaces, which would kick out the both sides where Katie's head and Katie's feet are.
But those are expensive and kind of narrow, so we would be sharing like a feet cubby or a head cubby.
Cubby friend.
So we do sleep well. I just think we would sleep better if we had a little bit more length that we didn't consider, because our heights plus a few inches is east-west in here. We just are goofy sleepers, I guess.
Goofy sleepers. Also, Katie gets better sleep than I do because I have an extra 5 inches on her.
5?
Another thing that we're really proud of what we built was this pass-through, and that we could take apart the entire bed and use this all as storage. And we had to use it because Katie won
a roof nest tent.
And we were able to completely deconstruct the bed and use this pass-through, and it stood in here for the good part of 2 months once we got back.
But it was something had the foresight to consider being able to deconstruct the bed, use this van in a different way, and then when push came to shove and we actually had to do it, it functioned perfectly. And so it was a real like yeehaw moment.
Yeehaw.
We felt pretty smart. We partially discussed this when we talked about how we didn't use the shower. But another thing that is kind of on the con list, a negative, is the amount of time and investment we made in our water system just to find out that this little Dometic jug with a powered pump does everything that we needed to do. It was 6 months on the road. We never once turned on our water heater, used our shower, or needed 37 gallons of water. We could have spent all of that time learning plumbing, and then the investment in the PEX, the water heater, the water, what is it called? Water tank?
Yeah.
All of that stuff could have been solved with this like $200 pump setup. And if we had built it again, I think, again, simplified everything. This works phenomenally. We didn't know it existed.
It didn't exist when we built the van.
It didn't exist, so yay. Now that we know, it's like, well, shoot, we have an incredible water system, just we never used it.
One of the other pros of the van build is our rear view mirror. This was not a factory option from Ford, and we had it installed by Andrew at Rex Overland. There's a camera in the far back, and it has a recording feature. So anything that's happening in front of us, it records. Anything that's happening behind us, it records, which is really nice for peace of mind.
Another con, I think in the grand scheme of things it is a con, is we overbuilt everything in this van. From the use of raw materials, glue. We wanted to ensure that this thing, it's basically built like a tank.
Yeah.
Like everything is glued and screwed so tight into this van. But looking back, we spent a lot of money on those materials when it could have been done with thinner plywood, with less of everything, and still had the same look.
Absolutely.
Like, don't get me wrong, we love the van.
Yeah.
Like, even being in here again, it's like,
it's strong. Nothing's gonna happen to this van. Like, we've seen horror stories of people's shelves falling off when they're driving.
That's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
There's no way.
Yeah, absolutely no way.
It doesn't squeak. We were worried about squeaking. We were worried about
man.
so many things. So we used a ton of glue, a ton of screws.
The Loctite or the 3M9? What was it?
Or marine adhesive.
Marine adhesive.
This van is 90% marine adhesive.
Man. We went through probably, no joke, 30 plus 36 containers of marine adhesive.
I would probably double that and give it to the next person. It's just a lot, and we did too much. We didn't know how to build anything. So if you're building, you can use less, and it would still work.
Thinner woods, things like that.
Yeah. So while we are very, very proud, we do recognize that we overbuilt literally everything in here.
After 6 months of living the van, we've realized there are a lot of other options that like we considered, but now when we saw so many on the road, we're talking about other kinds of vans, whether they be Ram ProMasters or if they are the long wheelbase Sprinter or just different versions of the Transit. There are so many options out there.
And they all come with different van or nomadic experiences.
Yeah.
Like, we have a ton of space in here, but we also have a huge overhang off the back.
Yeah.
Which means we've been limited more often than not of places we could go or feel comfortable going because we'll bottom out, especially when the motorcycle's on the back.
Yeah, and like, it's not just like going off road, like we bottom out going out of the Starbucks. Like
out of a driveway.
Out of a driveway, like
the overhang is massive, and the build itself is also pretty heavy, so that doesn't help. But we see trucks with a in truck bed, like camper, and they're often God knows where, places we can't go.
Right, they're in the places that we wish we were able to go. And we are thinking more and more about that, how it would have been much nicer to have a little more off-road capability, whether that is a long wheelbase Sprinter with like the less overhang, or just the like Ford Transit Trail, which came out after we put in the order for this, which is a lifted Ford Transit, which I think would give us an extra 3 inches of lifted space. There are a lot of other options.
Yeah, so, but it's, again, one of those things where we didn't know what we didn't know, and we wouldn't have really discovered that until we lived on the road, until we drove up to Alaska and saw the variety and the options that are there, that if we were to do it again, we may not have picked this platform. We might have gone with the truck. We might have gone with pulling a trailer. There are just so many different things that you have to consider, and I would suggest really thinking about where you want to go and what you want to do, because not every platform will get you there.
Right.
Even if it's built out, you might not necessarily get to where you want to be.
Right.
that being said, when we built this, we had visions of living in it full time for the next 5 years and shipping it to Europe. And after being on the road, we recognized how big this is. It doesn't fit in a regular parking spot. It's tall. It's not a practical thing to ship over there, which is a real bummer because that was our goal. That's why we made it so live, laugh, love with our signs, is because it's our home and we really wanted it to feel that way and be our home in the long term. And we're at this point not sure if that makes sense going over to Europe with this. We would likely have to invest in something.
I don't think it makes sense. I think it'd be very expensive to ship this over there, and I think for the amount of money that we could save by just selling this and recouping the cost, we could buy a Volkswagen like Westfalia over in Europe for like 20 grand, or
Smaller,
like an old
fits the
G-Class,
roads.
right?
Yeah.
Smaller, less powerful,
Yeah.
like something that's built for European roads and it's not built for American superhighways.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's a con because I love our build. It's just something that you really need to consider if you are in the early stages before you've started anything. Really think about the long term and the reality of it, because we were starry-eyed and big dreams and not super practical.
We still have big dreams,
Same.
but our dreams now involve an F-350 and a Scout camper. No.
All right, so let's get to the final thoughts. We learned after 6 months of living full-time in this van how little we needed everything in this van.
Yeah.
We have a home that we love, that is beautiful, that has functioned perfectly for everything we needed, but it took us 6 months more than it needed to, where we discovered if we had just put a mattress on the floor, had this Dometic water pump and a duffel bag to put our clothes, we would have been, one, just as happy, spent a lot less money, and been on the road way sooner and not had to deal with all the hiccups we did during the build.
Absolutely. I think we second guessed and triple guessed ourselves many times when we were building the van. We were like, this isn't fun. I'm tired of this with Grandpa. I want to go home. And we couldn't sell a half completed van, so like we had to keep pushing through.
We knew we had to finish it. We still had our goal to see all the national parks. It's still there, like that didn't stop.
Right.
But we could have potentially been done if we had left with a more simple build.
Right. Yep, there are a lot of things that weren't available for the Ford Transit platform when we were designing and building this van out, like prefab kits. Like you buy it, they ship you it, and you just follow the instructions and build it. That wasn't a thing on
the transit platform when we were doing it. It's available now. So if we were to redo this whole thing, convert it again, we would pick a prefab kit. They're like
20 grand.
They're expensive, but this was expensive.
This was expensive.
Like, and this started to add up in ways that we weren't expecting. Whereas had we just bought something, although not available, it probably would have been cheaper. So we would get a prefab kit, simplify the water system with like the Dometic thing that we have, a cooler, chest, and then just gotten on the road and lived life in an even more simple way.
Yeah, we would have lived, laughed, and loved much sooner.
And much further.
Much further. No, and 100%. And like we had a Ford Bronco before we had the van, and we were like, we could have got a small trailer and towed behind the Bronco.
And called it
a day. Like we could, they have those really cool off-road trailers that would have matched the Bronco, whatever. 20 grand, been done, on the road, saw the national parks.
We could have bought a used camper van and not converted it ourselves. And while I am so proud of us and I am very happy we've learned all of the different trades we learned in order to make this happen, it would have also been an option. And there's no shame in that. You don't have to convert it. You don't have to do any of that. If your goal is to live a nomadic life or utilize a camper, van, truck, whatever it is to get out and see more of the world, there's no like badge you earn to do it yourself.
There's no Junior Ranger badge.
There is no Junior Ranger van build badge. God, I wish there was. May make that a merch option. But we've done it 6 months. We loved it. This is a lifestyle that we really enjoyed, and we're looking forward to doing the next half of the national parks. And if you guys have any questions on van life, we've done it. We've got thoughts, like we said, and our build itself. If you have more questions, if you've seen our other van build videos and we didn't address something in this video and you'd like to know our thoughts now 6 months after the fact, put it in the comments. We are more than happy to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thanks for watching. If you like us, hit subscribe because we're gonna stick around. We'll see you guys next time.
That sounds like a threat.
It was. Like and subscribe.
Plus, a special guest.
Woo! Where's she? There's a dog.
Whiskey woo! Hi, baby.
This is the highest I've been. Sylvia.
Except for that one time in Amsterdam. Woo!
We don't talk about that.
An angel.
A last minute design decision. Yeah, okay. A last minute design decision. Me. Okay, no, I'm gonna get it. Keep it going. A last minute design decision. One more. Okay, I got this.